Trump news. Trump applauds campus protest police crackdowns. The former president branded demonstrators raging lunatics and implied they were recruited to distract from border crossings without evidence. Former President Donald J. Trump held his first campaign rallies since his Manhattan criminal trial on Wednesday, urging college presidents to take a harder approach to campus protests over the Gaza conflict and praising police action. Mr. Trump praised New York City police officers who, in riot gear, arrested dozens of pro-Palestinian demonstrators at Columbia University and cleared a building they had occupied. He called protesters raging lunatics and suggested without evidence that liberal groups hired them to distract from the surge of migrants at the border. Mr. Trump told supporters in Waukesha, Wisconsin, that universities nationwide should follow suit. To every college president, remove the encampments immediately, he added. Reclaim our campuses for normal students by defeating the locals. In Wisconsin and at a rally in Freeland, Michigan, Mr. Trump championed law and order, despite his New York criminal prosecution for manipulating business documents to cover up a sex scandal. In contempt and fined $9,000 on Tuesday, Mr. Trump criticized a trial gag order that prohibits him from assaulting witnesses and jurors. He called the judge who fined him crooked and conflicted during both rallies. "I have a judge who gags me," Trump continued. "I can't discuss stuff. Nobody has seen anything like it." He repeated his usual complaints about the criminal case, that it is a sham, that he cannot get a fair trial in Deep Blue Manhattan, and that President Biden is persecuting him politically, a claim without evidence but that has helped him gain support. "What you're witnessing in New York is not a legal proceeding, it's an unlawful exercise in very dumb and very terrible politics," he remarked. Editor picks. Queen Bee's last fashion frontier. What made Black Forest cake the world's favorite dessert? Why is showering hard when depressed? As Mr. Trump is in court, Republicans have used student protests as a wedge issue. They intend to incite Democratic dissatisfaction over Mr. Biden's Israel policy and reinforce Mr. Trump's claim that he is a weak leader. Mr. Trump has also exploited the protests to downplay right-wing extremist violence during his presidency in the previous week. In 2017, he called the deadly Charlottesville, Virginia, white nationalist rally peanuts compared to university protests. A neo-Nazi drove through Charlottesville counter-protesters, killing one woman and injuring almost 40. Mr. Trump continued to portray federal prosecutors as politically motivated by comparing protesters to supporters who were harshly treated after storming the Capitol on January 6, 2021, to overturn his 2020 election loss. In the weeks since his trial began, Mr. Trump has been more prominent as a criminal defendant than a political contender, despite small campaign events in New York City. Weather forced the cancellation of a North Carolina protest last month. "I've got to do 2 of these things a day," Trump told Michiganders. "You know why? I spend all my time in New York on the Biden trial." Mr. Trump's upbeat mood at Wednesday's rallies contrasted with his stern comments in the hallway outside the courthouse and court reports of him as dour, glowering, or dozing. He joked with crowd members in both states and boasted about his crowds. Mr. Trump's nasty, crude campaign pitch has hardly changed. He again claimed that Mr. Biden was leading the country to doom and fueled immigration fears by accusing Democrats of mayhem at the border. He also reiterated baseless assertions that Democrats encouraged migration to register unauthorized immigrants to vote. President Trump focused on other issues on a day when Florida's 6-week abortion ban took effect and Arizona lawmakers repealed their 1864 ban. He defended his position to defuse a 2024 Democratic priority. Trump has balanced his opposition to stringent 6-week bans with his support for state-based abortion rights. In Michigan, he warned that a lot of horrible things will happen beyond the abortion issue if you don't win elections. Republicans must examine the political consequences of advocating for more abortion restrictions. He portrayed his beliefs as compromise in Wisconsin. "Some folks will be quite happy," he remarked. "Not everyone will be happy. This will happen with time." Still, in Michigan, he thanked the conservative justices who overruled Roe v. Wade by name. He spoke shortly after Vice President Kamala Harris visited Florida and branded the state's new abortion restrictions another Trump abortion ban, part of Democrats' campaign to tie Mr. Trump to harsh limits. Mr. Trump also criticized Mr. Biden's economic policies at both rallies, saying they damaged the middle class and didn't fight inflation. Both parties want to win Michigan and Wisconsin, two battleground states that helped Trump win 2016 but went to Biden in 2020. President Trump visited both states last month before his New York criminal trial. In Waukesha, Mr. Trump acknowledged the 2024 Republican National Committee Conference in Milwaukee. He responded, "That means you've got to vote for us, because we're investing our money in your state to have the major convention." Trump also relied on the two states to overturn his 2020 election setback. The Michigan Attorney General declared him an unindicted co-conspirator last week in a probe into his and his associates' efforts to overthrow Mr. Biden's victory in the state. The FBI has indicted 15 Republicans for impersonating electors.